What up, world? DJ on the mic. What coming in with a banger right now, because doing a bit of a Favecraft video. The Double Typhoon starter deck starving Terriermon and Lopmon is looking hella great. The reveals are being so sick. So I just kind of want to give you my take of what I would do in regards to creating a Bunny Rush version of the Terriermon deck. So for this video for you, as I go through my tech, strats and all that good stuff, then stick around and enjoy. And if you're new to the channel, like what you see, make sure to subscribe and turn the notification bell, because I do videos on the reg. Right, let's dive straight in. So what am I trying to do here with this deck? So I like how Armrush has the Armrush version, being obviously Vmon going in for face. This is essentially a bit of a different take with the Terriermon and kind of focusing more on having a high rookie count and champion count with a splash of a little bit of like a, you know, few level 5s and obviously our top end, that's going to be our Mega Gargamon. So there's a lot of interactions and cool things you can kind of do with this deck, which is really nice. And the good thing about Mega Gargamon is the fact that its text, when it goes to like its Blast Evo, is that it can Evo on top of a Rapidmon in name, and Rapidmon kind of flexes between level 4 and level 5, so it's just perfect setup for you to essentially just play this awesome level 6 down, because it just does so much for the deck, to just stop your opponent and really lock them down nicely, which is just the sauce. So obviously as a standard kind of low end rush variant, we have to make sure that we can kind of execute that. So our Tamers play a massive part in that. As you can see, I do run effectively Mimi instead of the EX2 Henry. Mimi I think is just incredibly strong in this deck, because you'll be able to essentially churn out your rookies out of raising, which is just really strong in combination with Willis. But let's just fly right back to the eggs, because the reason why we have to run 5 eggs here is because we are going to be pushing out of raising quite frequently. So we have to go in with the BT EX2 Gummimon. This once again is just quite nice to have in order for you to essentially get some draw power when your opponent is suspended, which we do have cards that can suspend the opponent. BT8 Rapidmon does a very good job at that, and obviously depending on how many Tamers I have out, I can just suspend probably all of their board. And then being a kind of a rookie rush-esque deck, this is just like the green one you want, realistically. You know, have a green Tamer, draw 1 when attacking. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. We want to get that draw right there. Concludes the eggs, run 5. Going on to the rookies, 13. So you're probably thinking, like, where the Search Terriermon's at? Search Terriermon's are a little bit iffy in regards to the Tamers that I actually do currently run. As we only run essentially 1 Henry, we kind of at a risk of bottom decking our actual key Tamers. That's going to be your Mimi and your Willis. So my logic to this is effectively we have other cards that can search, and can search freaking pretty well in regards to what we actually wanting to grab. We can use our trainings to grab a green card, or well, essentially a green card, which majority of our deck is, which means that we can really maximize on our plays and also ensure that we're not bottom decking everything. So it gives you a little bit of room in the rookie slot to further facilitate some pretty awesome strats that we can achieve. So going on with our first rookie is going to be the EX2 Terriermon. So you're probably thinking, why the fuck are you running this? I actually like the your turn once per turn when you play a green Tamer out gaining memory, because there's so many cool ways that you can actually just get a Terriermon out from hand or trash. Using this to build up your Tamer line is actually pretty nice. The starter deck Terriermon can reduce the Tamer play by 2. Have this out, then effectively you're pretty much playing your level 3 Tamers for free, which is just really good value. On top of that, its inheritable is pretty sick as well. When an opponent's Digimon is becomes suspended, this Digimon gains 2000 DP for the turn. When we are using BT8 Rapidmon, that actually comes out pretty nice. It means that our Rapidmon could be hitting for 8k, which is pretty good, because ideally we do want to kind of stay in our armor, but we still want to be kind of aggressive there as well. So that's why I do value the EX2 Terrier, but we do run that at a comfortable 2. going over to the Terriermon's system with the freaking swag eyes, like he knows what's going on. He knows what's up. Terriermon's system is a very strong card here because we still kind of use the alliance mechanic. Not as hardcore as we would like to, but I feel like it still has a place in this deck, especially with Lopmon can provide that. The thing that's good as well is if the effect suspends its Digimon, I'll be able to give one Digimon 4,000 DP, which is huge, really huge. But the main reason why I'm actually running this is more because of the inheritable. That alliance keyword is pretty key, because when we are obviously swinging, or when we may, if this Digimon suspends, we can digivolve into a 2-color green Digimon from your hand for the cost, but if we do that, we can reduce it by 2, which is once again strong. The good thing about this, which is kind of different towards than the Armor Rush Vmon style, is that we do have cool ways to essentially reduce that cost, and they do have pretty powerful when digivolving effects. So that's why I do run this at 3. Then it's going to be the 4/4 with the new starter deck material, which this Terriermon is just absolutely gorgeous. Honestly, like, take the border off this art. Full art would be just sick. It would just be so nice if it was a full art. So with this Terriermon, the thing that makes this Terriermon strong is the main once per turn. The fact that it's a main means that you just can selectively do this at any point on your turn. Is that you may play one green Tamer card or one level 3 Digimon with Lopmon in its name from your hand with the reduced cost by 2. So effectively you're potentially playing Mimi for 2 or playing Willis for 1, which is great, or Henry for 1. And then on top of that, obviously a Lopmon for 1 there as well. Lopmon has a cool on play there too. It's all turns inheritable is nice, because ideally when we are going to our Mega Gargamon, we want to make sure that we can get a good DP threshold right there. So an extra 1,000 DP is great when this Digimon suspends. So when we go through a block, boom, we can do that. When we either go into attack, we get a 1,000 DP, which is just great for us right there. So going over to the Lopmon, so Lopmon we also do run at 4, because this is essentially going to be our Digimon that we want to kind of bring out to kind of give us that additional security check, which is great. Once again, it kind of follows the same principles as the starter deck Terriermon, that it is a main once per turn, so you can selectively activate this at any point right there, and obviously it grants one of your Digimon a line, so it's very selective what you can do there, and it's got the same inheritable as Terriermon. So we do run that at 4/4 split, because realistically when we are playing our option, it kind of gives us options to execute some pretty aggressive plays. Going over to champions, we do run 12. So we do run the Gargamon, which is currently at 2. So realistically, this is a very, very strong Gargamon. Like, absolutely beautiful. It's got that beautiful keyword, which means if we do evo from a Terriermon and Lopmon, which is a freaking blessing, because if it wasn't that, it would be very, like, why have we got Lopmon in this deck at that point? Means that we can evo for 2 costs instead of 3. But your turn, once per turn, when this Digimon becomes suspended, one of your Digimon gains jamming for the turn. So effectively what you can do, you can attack, this Digimon is then suspended at that point, and you can give this jamming if you want to, or give another card jamming. Really great in terms of its application. The fact that you have the option to place it on something, not just like it has to be this Digimon, is just a solid card right here. I would probably bump it up realistically, but I do like what the Wendigomon actually does provide for the deck and potential combos. Once again, all turns, when this Digimon is suspended, gets 1,000 DP, which is good obviously for our Mega Gargamon, because when it suspends and blocks, means it's going to be sitting at 14k, which is exactly what we want to be doing. Then speaking of the Wendigomon, so Wendigomon right here is very interesting in terms of what it can do in terms of board presence, and actually recycling some of the stuff there as well, but it does rely on obviously how your trash is looking. but because we are running a bit of a rush variant, it just kind of help of achieving this a lot more smoothly. So it does have that kind of keyword when digivolving on top of a Terriermon or Lopmon. You can digivolve for the cost of 2, which is the worth. But on play and also when digivolving, delete a level 3 or lower Digimon. So it doesn't necessarily state what that level 3 Digimon is. Like, it can be ours, it can be the opponent's. So the key thing here is that if this effect deleted your Digimon, you may play one level 3 Digimon card with Terriermon or Lopmon in its name from your trash without paying the cost. So very key thing here in terms of how you can actually leverage this in order for you to come out with some really cool combos. Depending on obviously your board set, if you do have a double typhoon in the back, obviously you can, and you push out a raising, you can effectively use that double typhoon, play out a Lopmon, let's just say for free. Lopmon gives your Digimon that you put a shot raising alliance. Then you evo into Wendigomon. Wendigomon, obviously, when digivolving, pops the Lopmon. Then, also because I popped one of my own Digimon, I can then bring out a Terriermon out from Trash Without Paying class. Then I can actually trigger Terriermon's main effect to either play out a Lopmon from hand or a Tamer from hand, which can really just, once again, execute some pretty awesome plays right there. It's stuff like that that I kind of like, because it just can kind of snowball from there and just really deal with the opponent's board, whilst kind of leveraging some pretty cool mechanics from the evos that you kind of go into. So I do like Wendigomon. And then once again, all turns similar to the Gargomon, which is spicy. So then going on to the main card that we want to be popping into, going aggressive, and that is going to be the new Rapidmon, level 4, golden a dish, boy, going in with the fucking king. Love it. So I absolutely love this art, really do. The thing that I was really hoping that Rapidmon would have has got exactly that. So obviously that keyword, which is going to be when digivolving on top of a Terriermon, it will only cost 3, which is perfect. Obviously we see that with Vmon and Magnamon. So yeah, follows the same suit. It is a blocker, which is exactly what I was hoping for. We do want a bit of blockers in this deck. Obviously we do have our Mega Gargomon, which is a blocker, but having that nice champion blocker also helps. And then also Armor Purge means that it gives us a bit of that stickiness. But the thing that makes this card so crap, the fact it's a 7k DP Digimon, all turns, love on all turns. When this Digimon becomes suspended, one of your opponent's Digimon and all of your opponent's security Digimon get minus 4000 DP to the end of the opponent's turn. That is incredibly strong, because it means that this Rapidmon is then a 11k blocker at that point, which is huge. And then on top of that, because we do have other inheritables there as well, essentially it can be a 12k blocker, which is pretty much dealing with majority of things that can kind of swing at you. Obviously, depending on, say, that level 5, you can pretty much block quite nicely, and if so, then obviously you can just Armor Purge from that. So do like what Rapidmon's cooking. It gives us a nice bit of aggression there as well, because effectively when we are swinging at security, we are technically swinging for 11/12. So really, really strong stuff there. They could not have printed a better Rapidmon. Then we go to the OG. The OG, that's going to be the BT8 Rapidmon. Absolutely love this whole art right here. Still a very powerful card. It has not got Armor Purge, but we can evo on top of a Terriermon for the cost of 3 instead of it costing 4. But the thing that's good here is that depending on your Tamer setup in the back, when digivolving, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon for each Tamer you have in play, which is so strong. Literally just lock down a board, which is, if they've got a blocker out, doesn't matter. Does not matter. This boy's like, yep, suspend. Suspend. I'm going for face. On top of that, then up to 3 of your opponent's suspended Digimon get minus 5000 DP for the turn. This was an absolute menacing yellow hybrid, and probably still is a menacing yellow hybrid with the amount of Tamers that they do have. It's not colour specific, it just says Tamers, which makes this card so naughty in this deck. So naughty. You have that bit of control, you can stop blockers from doing what they want to be doing, you can wipe out a field with this. It is strong. It is definitely strong and definitely worth a 4 of. Top of that, obviously, us being aggressive with that. We can be aggressive. We may have alliance on this stag, means that we can get 2 checks in there. Armor Purge, banging, and then effectively we can go into another rapid one if needs be. So really good stuff right there, and that concludes for the champions. Going on to the level 5s, the ultimate. So it's going to be Tamer. It is going to be Tamer. The reason why we got Tamer at 3, it is out of archetype standard. You know, we know how that be. But Tamer is such a strong card in this deck because the amount of free spawning you can do, Tamer can utilize and really grab those colours, because it just gets better with more colours in the source. It's like if you have the 4 colours, this boy's swinging for 12k, and also minus your like board, the opponent's board by 4k, which is very strong. Very strong right there. Once again, it just adds that nice bit of aggression. You can claim game pretty nicely with our Tamer, and also just a nice little bit of bridge towards going to our Mega Gargamon, though we can't effectively blast Evo into it, and it would cost us 5. So realistically, this is more of a kind of a finished game kind of card. But I do feel like Tamer has got a pretty good solid place in here, especially interaction with the double Typhoon. Depending on obviously how our board's set up right there, you know, we can pretty much set up 2 level 4s quite comfortably, which is cool because, you know, this is the Armor Rush variant of Terriermon, which doesn't play exactly the same as the Armor Rush version of Magnamon, but I think it's got a lot more tools that can really kind of shaft the opponent, especially with the level 6, which is a menace. The Mega Gargamon is such a good card, and it really gives me a lot of hope with what they could do for like Blast Ace Gallantmon or Blast Ace Sakuyamon, because this is just done really well. Really well. The fact that you can blast Evo on this on top of a Rapidmon in name, so obviously we still have Rapidmon X antibody version, which is just great. So this is just future proofing right now. It's got block and reboot, brilliant, awesome freaking keywords right there. And then it's got the when digivolving, suspend 2 of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers. Then 2 of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers can't unsuspend or digivolve until the end of your opponent's turn. Fuck God, it's so nuts, so good. It's so oppressive. So this is just a fantastic control card, but it's also a great aggressor card here as well, because it's also got when digivolving and end of attack. Once per turn, unsuspend this Digimon. It's just great all around. When digivolve, it's just a perfect combo. You can get 2 swings in there if it's still your turn. You've got when digivolving that you can trigger. Say if you're kind of swinging with your Rapidmon, blast Evo into this. When digivolving, unsuspend this Digimon means that you can block again, which is just great. And then also you can prevent them from doing anything if they were a Digimon that like say for like Jessmon, if they swung into it, had BT6 save it underneath, they unsuspend before the counter step goes in, Evo into this, effectively suspend that down again, and so forth. Like, it's very nice of what it can do. Granted, depending on what Jessmon's inheritables are and what Systemons have played, it's got this boy's got to be bigger than it. Otherwise, you're going to be losing what, overflow -4 memory, which is not great right there. But you get my drift. The fact that you can unsuspend is very powerful. It means that you can be aggressive while still essentially setting up the ace play. So that concludes for all Digimon, 32 in total. So let's go over to the option tamers, because it's quite a hefty option tamers section. So right now, so this is a very flex spot. Originally, I did have Fire Rocket in. I think Fire Rocket is a great alternative for you to get that extra push. Though, the thing that I want to do with the deck is kind of keep it monotype, if that makes sense. Just because our actual search tools that we do have, we can essentially claw options as well as our Digimon and Tamers. So I want to kind of keep an archetype here, but the thing that really kind of took my eye was actually Poison Ivy. The reason why it's very cheap to play, and the source you can do with this effectively makes kind of our Evo costs quite cheap, because main, one of your opponent's Digimon gains all turns, which I fucking love all turns. When this Digimon becomes suspended, lose 2 memory until the end of your opponent's turn. The fact that we can actually suspend an hour turn, and then if they want to then attack, they also lose 2 memory. It's just filthy, and we've got ace plays for days. It's naughty. We can really kind of utilize that memory, essentially netting back 1 memory in reality, because it costs us to play. It costs 1 to play this. Means that we can be somewhat going to a bit of a control style, like Armor Rush. Like, it's very aggro based, but it can also be quite defensive, and Terriermon kind of Bunny Rush kind of falls in that kind of same aspect, that it is pretty defensive. It can suspend, it can kind of move quite wide boards, but I feel like with this, with Mega Gargamon that can suspend on Evo and basically stop them from suspending and also Digivolving on top of them, is just naughty. It's just filthy. So I do feel like there is a bit of a nice place for Poison Ivy. This, like I say, it's going to be a bit of testing on this one. I do like its security effect, as well as the fact that it can activate its main effect and also add this to hand, which is quite nice. So nice little security bomb right there. HPD, we do run this at 1. Why not? I mean, it's a free Evo. We can spawn out bodies quite efficiently with the cards that we do have in this deck. We can utilize their main effects and then basically use HPD to then get a free Evo. We don't necessarily have to use it in a way that we have to go to like Mega Gargamon. We can actually just go to one of our armors for free to deal with their board. HPD is just a bit of a menace, but its application is so universal. I think it definitely just warrants a slot of 1. Going over to essentially what our searches are going to be, is going to be the trainings, which training is just, once again, powerful, very memory efficient in what it does. Because we Evo to our champions for either 3 or 2, this just works really well, because we can effectively reduce the cost by 2, making sure that we can Evo for 1. If we have Willis, effectively we just suspend Willis and we can Evo for 3 at that point. So really cool interaction that we can have with the agility training, and the fact that we can also get its main, reveal 2 cards from top of your deck, add 1 green card from amongst them, place the rest of the bottom deck. It's just nice bit of safe searching right there, which is handy for us, as well as enable us to essentially get our HPD or our Poison Ivy. So really solid stuff. Do run that there at a solid 3. You could easily knock it out to 4. It's just such a great card, but I think 3 is just right. Then Double Typhoon. This card is so good. It is so good. The reason why I do like Double Typhoon is that the way this deck actually runs and how we can kind of utilize those bodies for like any Terriermon plays or any future ace plays is very nice. Also, it's a great search card. It's just, reveal top 3, add a green Digimon card and a green Tamer card from amongst them. So we're netting 2 cards. Now, the only ones that we're obviously not netting is you're going to be the Terriermon, which is unfortunate. But the fact that we can actually net pretty much the majority of the deck is beautiful right there. And then the delay, even better. We can either play a Terriermon or Lopmon from hand without paying its cost. This just sets up so many cool plays and interactions, especially with the start of main stuff there as well. tripping this out of security is even more filth, because suspend 2 of your opponent's Digimon places in your battle area. So basically, I'm just going to get a free body out at this point. Also, in combination with Poison Ivy, tripping this out of security, could absolutely stilt it. Could ruin a play big time. So huge, right there. So yeah, easy 4 off. If people running out less, I don't know what you're doing. Ultimately, you buy two starter decks just for this card alone. It's just great value. So then going over to the Tamers. Tamers, we do run the Mimi. So we actually don't run the EX2 Henry 1. The reason why I feel like Mimi has way more better aggro potential, because it, once again, is quite easy to get into a level 6 with this deck. We do have the Chimeramon there as well, and with Chimeramon, it does take the colours of its source, so we can still actually proc the Mimi out there too. With Mimi and Willis combination, it's just so good. So good. Play like, if you don't have 2 Mimis out, effectively, if we get the on play of Willis, we can basically hatch an egg, we can Evo into a rookie, and then we can just suspend Mimi and just churn that boy out. churn the rookie out onto the field and does not get summoning sickness, which is once again a great tempo play. She's a memory setter as well, which just works amazingly. I feel like she does add a bit more value than the EX2 Henry, only because like I feel like the deck already does enough suspending. Like, I don't think Henry brings enough to warrant it in the deck compared to what Mimi can do and how easy it is to get into a level 6 or level 5 or higher, due to the actual keyword of Mega Gargomon can Evo on top of effectively a level 4, which is like a kind of bit of a warp digivolve. So we do run Mimi at 2. Willis, I feel like people are sleeping on Willis so hard. Willis, I think Willis is great. I think it's gonna make this deck pop, just because the on turn, just reducing cost of Evo into pretty much your whole line is massive, very massive. Even the on play is pretty sick if you do have Mimi out, because you can hatch an egg in an empty space in green area and then basically get the combo going. If you can push out with your Mimi, effectively you could trigger one of your starter deck, start the main effect, which is just so good. It's really strong. So nice solid 3 there. And then we do also run the new Henry 1 at 3. The reason why I do run this at 3 is because realistically, I think once again with Mimi and this out at the same time, you have 4 memory. That's a lot of memory for this deck. It's a lot of memory for this deck. If it's procced out of security, absolute win at that point. The good thing about this as well is the actual combat mechanic. So it's essentially similar to the Takato from BT12, is that you can basically tuck this under your Terriermon, and then you can tuck a Gargomon and a Rapidmon from your trash as a bottom literal source, and then Evo into a Mega Gargomon from your hand for the cost of 5. Obviously, on top of that, if you do have your Willises out, suspend those, reduce the cost even further. Realistically, that's what you want to be doing, because even though it gains rush, it doesn't gain blitz. So realistically, you will need a memory setter out and this if you don't have Willis out, because then that's going to cost you 4. You should have 4 if the opponent has a Digimon out on field right there, which most of the time they probably will do. So we do have Heavy 1 for that kind of comeback mechanic if needs be, but I think the start of your main is going to be very strong, because it's very hard to play around this. But guys, that concludes for the Buddy Rush. I know what people think, like, what, this is goddamn trash, which it might be. It is a favorite craft video, but I think the tech choices that I've put in are very nice. I think probably the one that's a bit like really left field is probably the Poison Ivy, but I think this could honestly cheese so many people off. This could really ruin someone's freaking day. Right there. And even though I don't have any Search of Terriermons, I think realistically these you'll get more mileage out of throwing these down, to be fair, and having these propped out of security is even more worth. Obviously with the resurgence of like blue hybrid, like most Digimon now just obviously pop that level 3 quite efficiently. So realistically, I don't want to kind of throw a Digimon out for it just to kind of get popped instantly. It's just not the worth. So this is the reason why these are pretty much going to be my main searches for the deck, whilst then just kind of working on kind of evoing into my rookies and then going into my champions. Champions going to be putting in the most work, and obviously I can kind of use the delays to get more bodies out, use Willis to reduce those evo costs, use even friggin' agility training to reduce those evo costs. Got great ways to reduce those evo costs for the deck to be efficient while still having that kind of rush aspect of the deck with Lopmon. Lopmon definitely plays like a quite an important part in the deck right there. And like I say, if Poison Ivy doesn't quite pop off, then I'll try a Fire Rocket. I think with Fire Rocket, because it is basically a red card, 9 times out of 10 might pretty much whiff on it. I think Poison Ivy is nice just for very cheap to play out, but gain a lot from it. It's basically an ice wall in that sense. But nothing waffling. Drop it in the comments, guys, and I hope you have an awesome day. D-Dread off the mic.